What's going on, everybody? Joey Talks Boxing Fantasy Fight. Anthony Joshua versus David Tua. Interesting matchup. Joshua is known for maybe not having the greatest chin. David Tua is known for having one-punch knockout power. Now, for me personally, I think Joshua having a glass jaw is a little bit exaggerated because if you look at his career, he got knocked down by Vladimir Klitschko, but Vladimir Klitschko is one of the biggest punchers in heavyweight history. And Andy Ruiz knocked him down 4 times in their fight. It stopped him. But other than that, he's never been knocked down in any other fight. So I think him having this glass jaw is a little bit overblown. He's taking punches from Usyk, Povetkin, Dylan White, name a few. And I don't really feel like he had a glass jaw. I think his chin is probably like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Not nearly as bad as the public makes it out to be. I do think his recovery is a little bit questionable. I think once he gets hurt, he kind of like, goes a little bit. But I don't think his chin is so glass. You have a guy, though, like David Tua, who's one of the biggest punchers in the history of boxing. And when you deal with a guy like Tua, you got to be careful at all times because he actually, in my opinion, is probably one of the top 5 punchers in heavyweight boxing history. I'm talking legit one-punch knockout power. His left hook is money. Now, he was like 240, maybe 6 feet, if even that, 5'11". He was very short. When he came into his career and he knocked out John Ruiz early on in his career, a lot of people had compared David Tua to the next Mike Tyson. That was what they were saying. He's going to be like Mike Tyson. He didn't quite live up to that because he doesn't cover ground like Mike Tyson does, and he's not nearly as fast or as skilled defensively as Mike Tyson. But from a power standpoint, he probably had more power in his left hook than Mike Tyson did in any one punch. And I know a lot of Mike Tyson fans are going to say, oh my God, how can you say that? Go watch David Tua's knockouts. I think Tua had a little bit more power. Not nearly as much speed, not nearly as much skill, not nearly as good of a fighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying strictly power. So this gets interesting here. I think that Anthony Joshua would have to fight a fight like he did versus Andy Ruiz in the second fight or Joseph Parker. I think Tua was a very good contender, but I think over time he's become overrated like many of the 90s and early 2000s heavyweights have now become. I think that David Tua is very beatable. This is a man who lost Ikea Biabuchi. This is a man who was getting outboxed by Hasim Rahman for most of their fight until he stopped Rahman late in the fight. And that was kind of controversial because he really hit Rahman after the bell. Debatable, called by the ref. He had a draw at Rahman the second time. And in his one title fight, he fought Lennox Lewis. And Lennox Lewis outboxed him easily. I know people are going to say, oh, well, Anthony Joshua was not Lennox Lewis. I'm not saying he is. But Anthony Joshua does have faster feet and the better footwork than Lennox Lewis. And I don't care what anyone says. I'm sticking to that. That's the one area where I think Joshua has Lennox Lewis in. And the left hook probably. But his footwork is very underrated, Anthony Joshua. Not moving laterally, but in terms of in and out footwork, it's very good. And you saw it in the second Ruiz fight. He did well in that fight. So I'm going with Anthony Joshua by a clear unanimous decision. And there'll be a couple of boos in the crowd during the fight because the fight won't be as exciting as people thought it would be going into it. I think that Joshua should win this fight. The only thing is people are going to say, what if Joshua decides to, sit there and trade with Tua? I think knowing Tua's power in this hypothetical, because it's a prime versus prime thing, Anthony Joshua knows that, and he doesn't make that mistake. I'm going Anthony Joshua by wide unanimous decision. Be like a 9-3 type situation, maybe like a 10-2. And I don't think Joshua ever gets seriously hurt, but he's got to be on his game the whole time. So that's my pick, Anthony Joshua unanimous decision. Please let me know what you guys think. Anthony Joshua versus David Tua, fantasy fight. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And check out my other fantasy fight videos and just boxing videos in general on this channel. Peace.